Graça e paz, igreja.
Grace and peace.
Alegria. Pode empurrar pouquinho para frente.
Could you please move this forward?
Mais pertinho aí.
That would be perfect.
Alegria, muita alegria estar aqui.
Such
Eu falei baixinho
a
no
joy
ouvido
to
dela,
be
mas
here.
talvez você tenha ouvido porque eu estava de microfone na mão.
I was holding a
Ela já estou com
microphone
sintomas de saudade.
when I told her that I was already missing her. When we get to that point, when we need to go, we think, well, soon we will have to part. But we will remain with the same spirit. In the spiritual world, there's no such a thing as a time and space. Time and space belong to the physics realm. In the spiritual realm, we're together. Despite being far away, both time and space-wise, we are in the spirit world that connects us forever. So when we meet again, we feel as if we had been together just yesterday. It's that joy. It's the family joy. The people of God is the family of God on earth. We're children of the same Father. Therefore, we're real siblings. And if you're the son or daughter of my Father, you're my sibling. And we will live together forever. This is my conviction. I'd like to share with you a number of texts. Let's start with the following. Jeremiah 29, 11, towards the very first part of verse 14. The Lord says, I know, for surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans for your welfare and not for harm, to give you a future with hope. Then when you call upon me and come and pray to me, I will hear you. Then when you call upon me, come and pray to me, I will hear you. When you search for me, you will find me. If you seek me with all your heart, I will be found by you, and I will change your destiny. Now, let's read this again together to this first portion of verse 14, starting from 11. For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans for your welfare and not for harm, to give you a future with hope. Then you will call upon me, come and pray to me, I will hear you. When you search for me, you will find me, if you seek me with all your heart. I will let you find me, says the Lord. Says the Lord. And I will restore your fortunes. This is the NRSV. My dear fellows, Pastor Amelia was talking about a God of promises. What a beautiful promise of God in our Word. What a beautiful, perfect God. We were worshiping, and I was thinking, no matter how much we speak about His goodness, no matter how much we magnify His name, it's nothing close to what He is, what He does. This is a word that is a promise, that has a promise to do so much in our behalf. When He says, well, I know the thoughts I have for you. And we all have thoughts about ourselves. Everyone desires and expects the best. And He says, my thoughts are better. They're way better than yours. And in Isaiah, we read, my paths are better. Then we go to Psalm 139, written by David. We read about God's almightiness, omniscience. You have thoughts that are excellent about myself. God's plans for us are perfect. We have been created in His image and likeness, and we have been placed on earth through the beginning of creation in Adam. And in Him, all creation has come to pass. One man was the seed of all humanity. And when Paul was in Athens, in the Areopagus, he was there to preach to the Athenians, Acts 17.
pregar pela misericórdia que teve
And
de ver a
he was
idolatria dos
praying
atenienses.
for
Ele fala
mercy
para os
because he
atenienses
saw
que o
so
Deus
much
que ele serve não
idolatry
pode ser
in Athens.
formado por mãos de
And he said
homens,
that
porque
God
esse
you
mesmo
worship
Deus
cannot
de
be
só
built
fez
by
toda
hands of
a
men,
raça
because one
humana.
God has
De
created
só ele
all
fez
of the
toda a
human race.
raça
From
humana.
one, all of the
Estabeleceu os
human
tempos
race came to
determinados e os
pass.
limites
He
da
established the
habitação.
times, the
Tempos
frontiers, the
determinados
limits
quando?
of our dwelling.
Limites da
Well,
habitação é
the
onde?
limits of
Então, em
habitation
Adão,
is
o
where.
primeiro homem
The limit
formado à
of
imagem
time
e
is
semelhança
when.
de Deus,
Adam is
estava
the
toda
very
a humanidade.
first man in whom
Todos os
all
quase 8
humanity was
bilhões de
embedded.
pessoas que estão sobre a face
Almost
da Terra
8 billion
hoje
people on
foram
the face of
formadas
the earth today were
quando
created
ele formou Adão, ele
when
formou a
he
humanidade.
created Adam,
Agora ele
all
chama a
humanity
existência.
in Adam. But he comes and
As gerações,
calls into
Isaías
existence
41 diz isso, que ele
generations.
chama as gerações
Isaiah
à
41
existência.
states that he
E ele
calls
chama as
generations
gerações
into
escolhendo onde
existence.
e quando
He
vai
calls
nascer.
generations
Eu
where
nasci em 2
and
de
when
fevereiro de
they are to be born.
1948.
I was born February
Não foi por
2nd,
acaso.
1948,
Não foi porque
not by
meu pai e
chance.
minha mãe resolveram
It's not
ter
that
uma
my
vida
parents
sexual
decided to
e geraram
be sexually
filho, uma
active
filha. Não.
to generate
É
a child.
Deus quem me
No.
enviou para o ventre
It's God who
dela,
sent
da
me
minha mãe,
into my mother's
naquele
womb
tempo, porque o único portal
back then,
legal
because the
para
only
espírito
legal
vir para a terra é
portal
pelo ventre
for a
de uma
spirit to
mulher.
come
A
into the
única
earth
forma
is
de
through a
Deus enviar
woman's
espíritos
womb.
para a terra.
The only way
Pelo ventre
spirits
de
can
uma
be
mulher.
sent by God to earth is
Por
through a
isso que ele
woman's
fala
womb.
para Jeremias, antes que eu
And
te
that is why he
formasse, eu te
says to
conheci.
Jeremiah, before I formed you, I knew
Você
you.
estava comigo antes de eu te
You
formar.
were with me
E antes que
before I
saísses do
formed you.
ventre da tua
And before you
mãe, eu
left
te
your mother's
constituí
womb,
profeta às nações.
I have made you a
Você já
prophet
nasceu
unto the
com um
nations.
ministério
You were
profético,
born
você já
with
foi
a ministry,
gerado
a
para
prophetic
ser
ministry.
profeta.
You were
Como
created
João Batista
in
foi
order to become
gerado
a
para
prophet.
anunciar a vinda do
Just like John the
Messias.
Baptist was
Como
created to
Sansão foi
announce the
gerado para
coming of the
acabar com a
Messiah.
guerra com os
Just like
filisteus,
Samson
para
was
tirar
created to
o
put an
poderio
end
dos
to the
filisteus.
war with the Philistines,
Você nasce com um
to
propósito
draw the power
determinado.
from them.
Você nasce num
You are
tempo
born with a
determinado.
predetermined
Deus não joga
purpose,
dados,
with a
ele não faz
predetermined
apostas.
time. He's
Ele
not playing
cumpre
dice.
plano,
He's not
projeto.
gambling. He fulfills
Davi no
a
Salmo
project,
139,
a plan.
ele
In
fala, o
Psalm
Senhor estava tecendo os
139,
meus ossos
David
no
said
ventre
that
da minha
God
mãe.
was
E já sabia
intertwining
todos
my
os
bones
meus
in my
dias,
mother's wombs,
quando nenhum
and he
deles ainda
had
existia.
knowledge of all my days
A
before they
Bíblia
came
fala
to
que o
pass.
pensamento não chegou à mente, ele já
The
sabe
Bible
qual
says
é,
that
ele conhece os
before the
afetos do
thought comes to
coração.
my mind,
A palavra não chegou
God
aos
already
lábios,
knows
ele já
them.
sabe o que vamos
He knows the
dizer.
word in our hearts
Ele é
before the
Deus
words
que
come to our
conhece
lips.
tudo, ele é
He's already
onisciente, ele é
knowledgeable of
poderoso,
that.
ele é onipotente.
He knows everything. He is
Você sai lá
almighty.
fora, olha para o
He is
céu, vê
omniscient.
zilhões de
As you look
estrelas.
to the sky, you
Para ele
see
criar
a
todo o
zillion
sistema
stars.
solar, que é a nossa Via
Well, he
Láctea,
created
planetas,
all
estrelas.
the solar
Para
system,
ele criar
the Milky
milhares
Way,
de galáxias.
all the stars,
Para ele
all
criar
the thousands
seres,
of
corpos
galaxies.
celestiais que ainda nem foram
As
vistos
he
por telescópios, que nem
created
foram criados. Ele só
stars
disse
that
uma
are
frase,
yet to
ele
be
disse,
seen.
haja luz.
He
Ele é
said,
todo
"Let there
poderoso.
be
Ele é
light."
grande, ele é
He is
tremendo.
the Almighty.
E ele
He
quer
is
o melhor para
tremendous
nós.
in power, and He wants the
Sempre
best
ele
for
quer
us.
o melhor para nós.
He always
Toda
desires the best
dádiva,
for
todo
us.
dom perfeito vem
Every
dele.
good and perfect
Tudo
gift
que o homem
comes from
pode
Him.
receber,
Everything that we are
Pastora
able
Amélia
to
disse aqui, é do
receive.
céu que veio.
Pastor Amanda said
A
that.
tua
It
força
comes
de
from heaven.
trabalho, a tua
Yes, you
capacidade
work.
intelectual,
Yes, you
a
have
porta de emprego que se
cognition.
abriu.
Yes, you have the ability to
Tudo,
work, to have a
absolutamente
job,
tudo vem do
to
Senhor.
have enterprises,
Você
but
senta para se
everything
alimentar.
comes from God.
Hoje,
Today we
sentamos
had a
numa mesa
feast,
farta.
and
Você pensa que tudo
we
aquilo
see
veio da terra.
everything
Deus
came
criou
from the
tudo
earth.
na
God
terra.
created all of those things in
Ele
the earth.
formou
He
da
created
terra
them from the
todos os
earth.
alimentos que os
Every
homens
food we
consomem
eat.
para sobreviver.
Well, Pastor,
Pastora, mas
you
a
had
vaca, a senhora
barbecue
comeu
today,
churrasco,
right?
a vaca não
But
veio da terra.
well,
O capim veio da terra, que
meat
alimenta a
doesn't come
vaca.
from the earth, does
A
it?
porca
Well,
que faz a picanha
grass comes from the
existir
earth
para que eu coma
so that the
assada,
animal can
bonitinha,
eat,
gostosa.
so that it's perfect.
Tudo ele formou, tudo
Everything
ele fez
He
para
has
nós,
created in a
presente
perfect
para
stance,
nós.
in a perfect way for us.
Quando Deus
And
formou o
when
mundo,
God
criou o mundo
created the
natural e
world,
colocou o homem para dominar.
we were placed
Como
to
eu
have
falei ontem
dominion
para
over it.
você,
As I said yesterday,
Deus é o
God is the
proprietário, mas
owner,
o domínio
but
ele
the
entregou para o
dominion
homem. O
was
instituto
handed
jurídico de
into
propriedade é um, de domínio
the
é
hands
outro.
of
O domínio
humankind.
da terra, o
The
domínio do mundo
dominion
natural,
of the
ele
earth
deu para o homem.
was
Ele deu.
given to mankind. humankind.
Tudo que
Everything that
existe na Terra foi
exists on
formado
earth
para
was created
o homem.
for humankind.
Você
Do you
acha que
think
Deus
God drinks water because he's thirsty, and he placed water in nature because he's thirsty. Oil in nature because he would need fuel to his private jet. What about air that gives us life? We breathe and live. If we stop breathing, dead. COVID just expressed this very well. He created air on Earth. He created this beautiful phenomenon called photosynthesis. Well, the plant is able to convert light into oxygen. Without oxygen, there's no life. Natural beings need oxygen to live. Plants need oxygen. If you place a plant tight in a plastic bag, it will die. It needs water. And this was created for us, not for himself. This is a blessing, a gift for us. Well, you know the story very well. Well, the man back then chose to sin, chose to hear the voice of the enemy. He chose to listen to the voice of he who wanted to bring the creation, man and woman, to hell with him, to the lake of fire and brimstone. But God created Adam and Eve to be his children. And when you go to Luke chapter 3, from verse 23, where we read about Jesus' genealogy, the ancestors of Jesus, Joseph, son of Heli, son of Mathat, son of Levi. And when you reach to Adam in verse 38 in Luke chapter 3, Adam, son of God. God created Adam to be his son. He had his firstborn in heaven, but he wanted many children on earth. So he creates man in his image and likeness and hands over the planet to him in a perfect balance. Not too far from the sun in order not to freeze down. And that is the perfect place God gave to mankind. And when Paul was in the Areopagus, he says something in Acts 17. He says, well, the God I serve cannot be made by human hands. In one man, he created all humankind, and he gave everyone life, breath, and everything else. Life, breath, and everything else. Well, life, you know, life is a gift from God. We are not able to create children. God creates children in an awesome and wonderful way. That's what David says, and my soul knows that. God uses the both male and female gametes to create that package, the body, in order to place a spirit and a soul inside of it. Our children are spirits with a soul living in a body that will be sent back to dust, and the spirit will be sent back to him, to God. We're not able to create spirits, not even souls. We cannot do that. God creates souls and spirits and hands them to humankind. That's why Sarah was asking for children. Rebecca, same thing. Rachel, also. Manoah's wife was asking for a child. They were barren. They do not know how to create people. God creates people. We know what life is about. Life is breath, breath from God. The Bible says that God gives us three gifts: life, salvation, and faith. A gift is a present. Life is a present. A present from God. Well, breath, I know well what it is. This is the breath that maintains my package, my body. Without oxygen, I'm dead. There was an earthquake in Haiti. In the midst of the debris, a person was found under the debris for 11 days, alive, didn't eat, didn't drink, 11 days covered in debris, still breathing. You know the story that is going on with the
quando
COVID
não conseguia
pandemic.
mais respirar,
It's a
acabou
challenge
a
to keep
vida.
people breathing.
Eu sei que a respiração
When we
é
lose
o
the power
fôlego
of breath,
de Deus que me mantém
gone.
vivo. A Bíblia fala
We're
que ele
dead.
retira o fôlego, o homem
Whenever
morre.
God takes away our
Qualquer
breath, we
médico
die.
sabe
The
que
Bible
para
states that.
atestar a
And a
morte, é quando
physician
para de respirar.
knows that in order
Parou
to
de
ratify a
respirar.
death is when the person stops breathing.
Mas o apóstolo Paulo fala
This
que
is the
ele dá
end.
vida à respiração
Paul
e
says
tudo
that
mais.
God gives life,
E o que é o
breath,
tudo
and
mais?
everything
Eu
else.
já
What
preguei
is the
várias
everything
vezes sobre o
else?
tudo mais de Deus.
I've spoken many times
O tudo
about
mais de
this
Deus é a
everything
bondade
else
dele
from
sobre
God.
nossas
His
vidas,
goodness
fazendo
on our
tudo
lives,
que precisamos.
doing everything we
Tudo o
need.
que precisamos, até o que
Everything we
não
need,
precisamos.
even those things we do
Tudo o
not
que
need.
esperamos e até o que não
Everything we
esperamos.
expect and those things we
Tudo o que
don't
buscamos e até o que
expect.
não buscamos.
Those we seek for,
Tudo.
even those
Tudo,
we don't
absolutamente
expect
tudo.
for. Everything
Quando Jesus estava
comes
andando no
from
meio
God.
dos homens,
Jesus was walking
tinha os
amongst
discípulos que ele
men,
escolheu para andar com ele.
and he chose
Primeiro
some
ele escolheu
disciples,
12, depois
first
outros
12,
70.
and then another
De aldeia em aldeia,
70,
cidade em cidade,
walking
aqueles homens
from
indo e
town to
deixando o
town,
trabalho,
city to
deixando
city.
a exatoria, cobrador de
As they
impostos, o outro
were
deixa
following Jesus, they were
barco de pesca, era
leaving
pescador,
behind
começa a
their
andar com
attributions,
Jesus.
be it as a
E
tax
certa feita Jesus
collector,
fala,
be
vocês
it as
estão
a fisherman.
preocupados com o que vão
And then Jesus
comer,
asked them, Are you
beber,
concerned with what
vestir?
you will
Não se preocupe.
drink,
O
eat,
vosso
dress?
Pai
Do not
alimenta as aves
fret.
do
Your
céu
Father
e veste os lírios
feeds
do campo.
the birds in heaven
Não vai deixar faltar
and
nada para
clads
vocês.
the
Nada.
lilies in the field. You will
Quando ele fala,
lack
vocês estão
nothing.
preocupados com o que
When
vão
he
comer,
asks,
vestir,
Are you
beber,
concerned with what you will
calçar? Ele
drink,
está falando do
eat, dress?
básico.
He's talking about the staple
Básico,
things,
do
the basics,
básico, do
the
básico, do
foundational
básico.
things.
Necessidades básicas.
These are
E ele está dizendo,
basic
teu
needs.
pai
And he's saying,
vai
Your
suprir
Father
necessidades básicas.
will furnish
Ele diz,
everything
vós
you
que
need.
sois
He will
maus,
supply you. You who are evil,
sabeis dar boas
you know
dádivas
how
aos
to
vossos
give
filhos,
your
quanto mais o
children
vosso
good
Pai
gifts,
que está
let
no
alone
céu.
your Father who is in
E
heaven.
nós sabemos o quanto nos agrada dar
And
coisas para
we
os
know
nossos
how
filhos.
pleasant it is
Quando podemos
to give things
abençoar
to
os
our
nossos
children,
filhos
when we're
com
able to bless
presentes,
them with
com
presents,
coisas gostosas,
with
com roupas, com
delightful
viagens. Se
things,
podemos,
clothes,
fazemos com alegria.
trips. And if we can do that,
Com
we do it
alegria,
with such a joy.
fazemos isso. E ele diz,
And we
vós
do
que
that
sois
joyfully.
maus,
And he says, You who are
sabeis
evil,
dar
you
boas
know how to give
dádivas, bons
good
presentes
gifts to your
aos
children,
vossos filhos, quanto mais o Pai
let
do céu.
alone your Father in heaven.
Eu é que sei os pensamentos
I know
que
the
tenho a
thoughts
vosso
I
respeito,
have
está escrito aqui.
about you,
Pensamentos de paz
we
e não
read
de
in the
mal,
Word. Thoughts of
para vos
peace
dar
and
o
not
fim
of evil,
que
to give you
desejais.
an outcome
Está
you
falando de desejo.
desire. He's talking about
O
desires,
básico do básico
the
são
basics, the
necessidades supridas
foundational.
por Deus,
These are needs that are met
porque
by
Ele é
God
Pai.
because He's the Father.
Agora, além do básico, do básico, do
Now,
básico,
beyond
Ele
the
realiza
basics,
desejos do coração.
He also meets our
Agrada-te do Senhor
expectations,
e
the
Ele
desires.
satisfará os desejos
Be
do vosso
pleased
coração.
with your Father, and He will
Desejo do
meet
coração
the
não é
desires
o
of your
básico do
heart.
básico. Desejo
Well,
do
the
coração pode
desires
ser
go
uma
beyond the
viagem,
basics. Well, this could be a trip,
pode ser uma casa nova,
could be a holiday, a new house,
pode ser um negócio excelente,
a good
pode
business,
ser algo que você não tem, mas que você
maybe
sonha ter.
something you're yet to
São
have,
sonhos,
you're still
sonhos.
dreaming about it.
Agrada-te
These
do
are dreams.
Senhor e Ele
Take
satisfará
pleasure
os
in
desejos
the
do
Lord, and
vosso
He will
coração.
meet the desires of your heart.
É muito interessante, porque
It's so interesting
desejo do
because
coração, às vezes você não
a
percebe
desire from
que
the
Deus
heart
está
is something
realizando.
that you don't realize
Você não
God is
entende que Ele
working
está
towards it.
realizando.
You don't
Você
understand
até
that.
pode admitir que seja uma
And you can even
coincidência.
realize that this could be a
Pela
coincidence.
primeira vez eu vou contar,
And for the very first time,
falando sobre esse assunto, porque eu
as
falo
we
muito
touch on
sobre
this
Deus
subject,
realizando
because
desejos do coração.
I often talk about
Vou contar
God,
mimo de
and I'll
Deus que Ele me fez.
just share with you one
Passando por
example
essa cidade.
of how God pampered me as I walked through the
Quando vinha
city.
antigamente, eu
the
ficava
past,
hospedado na casa da irmã
I would
Tânia.
spend a couple
Irmão
days
Aziz e irmã
here at Brother
Eles tinham
Assis
comércio,
and
eles tinham uma
Hania's
loja,
place.
vendiam roupas
They had
de
a
cama,
store.
de mesa, de
They
banho,
sold
presentes.
linen, bed linen, presents,
E quando eu
household
vim para
items.
cá, eu
And
vim
when I
para
came
fazer
here,
uma parada aqui e
I
depois
would
iria
do
para
a
Belo
stopover and
Horizonte.
then on to Belo Horizonte,
Ficaria lá
capital of
quase
Minas
mês
Gerais, Brazil.
pregando
And there I would stay
numa
a
igreja
full month
que foi a
preaching
igreja
in a
onde fomos
church
consagrados
where
pastores,
we
Igreja
were
Batista da Floresta,
consecrated
em Belo Horizonte.
Baptists
Eu ia ficar
Baptist
lá mês trabalhando
preachers.
naquela igreja.
And that is the Baptist Church
E
of
havíamos
the Forest,
combinado
Igreja Batista
por
da
telefone com o
Floresta. And
pastor
there,
presidente da
I was
igreja.
supposed to spend a full
Eu
month,
ficaria hospedada
and I would
no
spend
apartamento dos
the
missionários
Spirit
dentro da igreja.
in the apartment
Apartamento
inside
com toda a estrutura,
the
tudo de
church.
bom.
And the
Eles
apartment had
supririam
everything
tudo, geladeira,
one would need,
tudo.
fridge
Hotel
and everything.
5
It was
estrelas.
as if
Mas
it
eu
was a
ficaria mais
five-star
resguardada, mais
hotel.
confortável. Eu achei muito
I
bom.
thought that I
Porque
would
estar trabalhando,
feel
já
a bit
ficava lá
more
hospedada.
reserved, and
E
I would be
aí,
working at the church, so it would be
a
a
primeira
perfect setup.
combinação é que eu ficaria
So the agreement
sozinha.
was that I would spend
Só
my
eu
time
ia
there
ocupar aquele
alone. I
apartamento.
would be spending my time alone in that
Eu já
apartment.
estava aqui em Jales,
And I
e
was
daqui iria
already
para
here
lá.
in Jales,
Quando eu
and from
recebi a
here
informação que eu não ficaria
I would go to
sozinha
there.
naquele
And then I
apartamento.
received the information I would
E
not spend my
ficaria
time alone,
comigo casal
but also
de
a couple
ele juiz, ela
would spend
pastora,
some time
casal de irmãos
with
que iam
me,
ficar comigo
a judge and a
2,
pastor
3 dias,
who
depois eu
would
ficaria
share
sozinha o
the
restante do tempo.
apartments for some 3
Só
days.
que eu já sabia que o
But
apartamento
I
tinha 2
knew
quartos e
that the
tinha
apartment
banheiro
had
comum para os 2 quartos.
2 rooms and a single bathroom.
E eu pensei, se
And
eu
I thought,
soubesse
okay, had
antecipadamente
I
que eu
known
ia ficar
that I
hospedada
would
numa casa
spend
para
my
dividir
time
banheiro com
in a
casal,
house sharing a
eu
bathroom
teria
with
levado
another couple,
peioar, hobby,
I would
roupão
definitely
de banho,
bring a bathrobe
para poder ir para o banheiro só com roupão. Não
in
precisa
order to
levar
go
toda a minha roupa para
to the
trocar.
bathroom
Não precisa levar
without
todo o
needing to
aparato
bring
que uma mulher
along
leva para o
all
banheiro.
the
Eu
clothes and
faria
all the
com
stuff that
prática,
women
levaria
need.
roupão de banho.
I'll just be
Primeira
very practical
oportunidade que eu tiver de sair em
and
Belo
wear a
Horizonte,
bathrobe.
eu vou
So the
sair
very
para
first
comprar
chance I
roupão,
have,
então.
I'll go out
Porque
and
não
buy
fiz
a bathrobe.
planejamento disso.
I didn't plan this
Como eu
out.
gostaria de ter sabido antes.
I
Parece
wish
uma
I
bobagem?
had known this.
Muito bem.
It looks
Na
simple
hora de
and just
viajar,
so
Irmã Rania
unimportant.
me
But
entrega uma
anyways,
caixinha.
as
Uma
I
caixinha
travel,
mais ou menos
Anania
dessa espessura,
gives me a little
quadrada,
box this thick,
quase como aquela embalagem
square
da placa que eu
box,
recebi. E ela me
just
entrega
like the
aquela caixinha.
one box
Irmã Tânia,
involving the
presente
plaque
para
I
você.
was awarded. And she said,
Eu já estava
Sister
pronta para
Tania,
sair para o
this is a
aeroporto.
present. And I was
Aquela caixa
just ready to
parecia uma
go to
caixa de
to
bombom.
the
Exatamente
airport,
como uma caixa
and
de
it looked
bombom.
like a
Leve,
bonbon, a
bem
chocolate
embrulhadinho.
box.
Eu falei, não vou
It was
desembrulhar.
light, well packed,
Vou
and I
botar na
said,
minha
I
malinha
will
de mão.
not
E
unwrap it.
desembrulho quando chegar lá em
I'll
Belo
place it
Horizonte.
in
Agradeci
my
irmã
hand
Rania,
baggage,
beijei irmã
and I will
Rania, agradeci a
unwrap it
hospedagem,
as I
agradeci o
arrive in
carinho
Belo Horizonte.
e
I
fui-me embora
thank
para
them
Belo
for
Horizonte.
being such
Cheguei lá em
amazing
cima da hora
hosts,
de pregar.
and on I
Já
went
ia
to Belo
pregar naquela
Horizonte.
noite, minha primeira pregação na
So
igreja.
I
Do
went straight
aeroporto para a
to church,
igreja, não mexi em
from
mala,
the
não mexi em
airport
nada.
straight
Da
to the church,
igreja, eu
didn't
chego
open
na
any
casa e já
suitcases.
chego com
I
o
preached.
casal que
From the
ficou
church, I
hospedado na
went
mesma
on to the
casa.
apartment, met
Eles já
the
estavam
couple
lá, já haviam
who was
chegado.
already there, that very
E aí
apartment I
eu
was talking
pensei, vou
about.
comer o meu
And then I
bombom.
thought, okay,
Abri a
good
mala
working day, on to have
e
some
não tinha
chocolate.
bombom. Tinha
And when I
peignoir
opened
de
the
seda
box, it
dentro
was not
daquela
chocolate. It was
caixa.
a silk
Tinha
nightgown
peignoir
inside
de
that box.
seda,
A silk
muito composto,
nightgown,
muito bonito,
beautiful,
muito fino.
elegant, delicate.
Dobradinho, ficou
It was
pequenininho do tamanho
all
daquela
folded,
caixa.
and it
E eu falei,
fit that little
Deus,
box. And I thought,
o senhor
God,
sabia que eu precisava de um
you
peignoir.
knew I
O
needed
senhor sabia
a
que eu
silk
precisava
gown.
de um roupãozinho. E o senhor
You knew I
providenciou
needed a
isso.
bathrobe, and you
Primeira
provided this for
oportunidade, eu
me.
liguei para a irmã
So the first
Rania.
chance I had, I called Sister
Irmã Rania
Ania,
falou para mim assim,
and
sabe,
she
pastora
told
Tânia,
me, Pastor
eu não
Tania,
ia dar esse peignoir para
I
você. Eu ia
originally
dar
wasn't planning to
echarpe
give
de
you
botar no
this nightgown.
pescoço. Tava
I was about to
fazendo
give you
frio,
a
sim,
scarf.
naqueles
It
dias.
was cool in the evenings,
Ela falou, mas eu já estava
but I was
embrulhando
already
a echarpe, já
packing
estava
the
colocando
scarf.
na
I was
caixa.
placing it in the
E
box,
tinha um
and I saw a
manequim
mannequin
com esse
wearing
peignoir.
this
Eu olhei para o
nightgown. I
manequim e
looked
vi
at the
você.
mannequin, and I saw
Era
you.
você que
You
estava com
were
o
wearing
peignoir.
the nightgown.
Ela falou, eu acho que
I
Deus
think
está querendo
God
que eu mude
is
o
telling me to
presente.
change
E
the
botei o
gift.
peignoir ao invés da
So
echarpe.
instead of the scarf,
Queridos, isso
I
parece
packed
loucura.
the nightgown.
Você
It looks
falar que é
crazy.
Deus que está dando peignoir,
God is
mas
giving
Ele
the
realiza
nightgown,
desejos do
but let me
coração.
tell you, God
Ele nos
grants the desires of our
surpreende.
hearts. He
Ele
surprises
nos dá
us.
muito
He gives
mais
us way
do que
more
você pode
than
imaginar.
what you can
Ele
expect
está
or even imagine.
preocupado com
He's
você.
concerned about you.
Ele
He
cuida de
cares
você.
for you.
Mas isso ainda é pouco.
But yet, this
É
is still
pouco.
too little.